So this is custom templates in GTM part 2, and in this video we are going to be creating our own custom template. Previously we have seen what custom templates are, right? They are just a tool you can use to create and configure templates according to your needs. You can create reusable templates instead of writing the code over and over again. We saw the benefits, we saw an example of how it is used, then we saw how it uses sandbox JavaScript. So in this video we are going to be creating one from scratch, and we are going to be creating a Facebook pixel template. Alright, now even though it's not already there in the tag section, you can find it in the templates. I'll just show you. If you go to search gallery, so you could find the Facebook pixel tag template here. So this is the official one. We are going to be creating an unofficial one just for demonstration purposes. So yeah, so firstly come to the template section, and inside that we are going to be building a tag template. So click new here, and as you might remember, it will lead us to the template editor, and here just enter the name, right? So the name you want, Facebook pixel, right? And you could then show advanced settings and enter the brand name as well, Facebook but unofficial, right? Then you could add a description of what it does. Facebook pixel template. Then you could even set an icon if you wanted to. So I'll skip that part since I don't want to set an icon. And then we could go to our fields. Then here you can, as you know, this is the part where you create the UI, right? So let's get into actually building it. So firstly I had set the name, brand name and description. So if I were to refresh, all those values would be visible here. You can see the name and then brand as well, Facebook unofficial. Then coming to the fields part, you could click on add field, and the UI, what you need to do is firstly you could go here, and just to get a reference you could get the reference from here, your Google Analytics configuration tag. And yeah, this is basically the UI for this tag. So you could make something similar to this. So for example, firstly I would put a text input field where, let's say, I want pixel ID, alright, and display name, let's say I set it as Facebook pixel ID, right? Then yeah, so here I'll just tick always in summary. Then I'll set some validation rules, and I also want to show a value hint, right? So always in summary, if I take, it will just show this in summary. And then validation rules, suppose validation you want, let's say it's an ID, right? So let's say we said the value must be an integer, and firstly let's give a value hint. So example 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, right? And now if I were to refresh this, yeah, you can see the value hint as visible. And then coming back to validations, this value must be an integer, but let's say they have entered something which is not an integer, so we could set an error message as well. So show advanced settings, we could set an error message. So please enter the pixel ID in correct format, right? So this is set. Let's say I refresh and I enter something which is not an integer, right? And I run this. So yeah, please enter the pixel ID in correct format. So you can see that it's working. Alright, now the pixel ID is set. Now let's see what else. So we have drop down menus, right? Let's go back. Let's say, yeah, add field, drop down menu. So this I'll name it as event name, right? So there are different events like page view, lead, complete registration, or even a custom event, right? Then, yeah, the include variables is automatically ticked, but we don't want it, so I'll just untick it. So this is done. Now we'll just remove it from here as well, right? And we'll enable nested fields. So when you have a custom event and within that what type of event it was, so to get that we need to use nested fields. I'll show you what it means. So yeah, we'll now add a menu item, right? And menu items will be page view, and the value as well will be page view. Then I'll add menu item again, lead, another menu item which will be a complete registration. Similarly, registration, and finally we'll have one which is custom. Value as well will be custom. Now let's see what it has done. So refresh. So yeah, now we need to give a name for this as well, right? Display name, we'll give a custom event, or no, event name, or just event, right? So let's refresh. Yeah, so whether the event was page view, lead, custom registration, complete registration, or custom. Alright, so now within our nested fields we'll add a text input and we'll name it custom event, right? So here we'll just add custom event name, right? So let's see how it looks. Yeah, so now we only want this to show when we have selected the custom option, right? Because for page view we won't have a custom event name, so we only want this to show when we have selected custom. So we can set it on that as well, like we could go here, enabling conditions. So we only want this to be enabled when we have a certain condition, when the event event when the event name equals custom, right? So when the event name equals custom, only then we want this to be visible. So now let's see. So for page view it's not visible, for lead it's not, and when I select custom you can see that it is visible, right? So then this is done as well. Yeah, now let's see what else. So we have these fields to set and user properties. They are in a tabular form. So for that we'll create a group here, add field group, and we'll name this group properties, right? Then within that collapsible section, so it will already be good. So yeah, you can open it, and so then you can display name, let's say properties, refresh. Yeah, properties. Right, now just add fields, and here we have to make tables, right? So we'll select a simple table. We'll name it properties. Okay, now for this we don't need a display name, so we'll just remove this. So firstly, column name and value, right? So we'll set it to property name, name, and the internal name will be name. Alright, then we'll create another one. Also for this we want it to be set on unique. Oh, sorry, so yeah, we'll show advanced settings and require column values to be unique, because we want unique values here. Alright, so then add column, and column number 2 will set property value. Sorry, property value, and this will be value, right? Yeah, we've already disabled the display name. Yeah, let's see. We have property name, property value, and yeah, it works. So then finally we have settings as well, right? So let's create another group for that, and group, this will name it as group settings, right? Inside this again we'll set it to collapsed, and display name setting, right? Or let's say advanced settings, right? Refresh. Yeah, then listed field will, let's say we add a tick box, and we name this as disable auto config. Suppose someone wants to disable the auto configuration, so we'll put the text here, disable automatic configuration. So if someone wants to disable that, they can just tick this and it will be done. So let's see how it looks. Pixel ID, event, custom event name, yeah, properties, and advanced settings. So the UI part is done. Now let's move on to the code part. Now for the code, I'll just remove this and add a, sorry. So if you just go to the blog here, you could find the whole code. I'll just copy it. I'll attach the link to this in the description of the video, and I'll also explain the code once. So these are just, you're just, you know, installing the APIs that are required, right? You're just calling the APIs. So create queue, which is create queue, then call in window, alias in window, copy from window, set in window, inject script. You're just basically calling the different APIs that you're going to need for this, right? Then this is the utility function to either use either fb.q. So this is return the existing fbq global method if available, right? If available, if not, then you'll have to create it, alright? Then after creating, return the global fbq method created above. Then this is just to get reference, you're just creating a copy to get reference to the global method. This is build the fbq command arguments, right? And then to handle if you have multiple comma separated pixel IDs, let's say 1 2 3 4 5, then comma, and then comma. So if you have values like this, it's for that. and initialize each ID if not already done. Then this is for the advanced setting part if the user has chosen to disable automatic configuration, so it will set auto config false, right? And this is to initialize pixel and store it in a global array, and this is to call the fpq method with the parameters defined earlier. And as we know, we uh, any tag template that has been created, you must have a data.gtm on success function, right? Now this code might look a bit different from the regular javascript code that you're used to seeing in pixel. That is because, as we had discussed in the previous video, custom templates work on a sandbox javascript, right? So this is basically the code, and now after that you'll have to give certain permissions, because as we know it is a permission centric model, so you'll have to give certain permissions to it. Without that it won't work. So let's say if I were to save this and run code, so now you might get the errors because you're working with global variables, and yeah, so now you just have to give permissions to each variable as they show up in the error, right? Or you could again go here and get a list of, yeah, so we can cross check for which key to give which permission. Yeah, so let's see, firstly we have the fpq gtm IDs, so let's see what permission. Read true, write true, execute false, so we'll just go with that. Access global variables, we'll add the key, pasted, only read and write, so we'll add that. Now let's run it. So fpq, let's say add key fpq, let's see the permissions for that. True, true, false, so go with that. Read and write and execute will not be there, so then again we'll run it. So this is a good way to actually, debug, I would say, and get to know what keys you have to give access to. So you could do it this way, just by running it again and again, or you could simply follow the table here. So underscore false, true, false. Right. So we only need write permission for this, right? So these three are done. Let's say yes, I want underscore fpq gtm, and for that I have true, true, false again. So let's see what's next. fpq.q, so I'll add that as well. fpq.q, and the permissions for that, true, true, false again. So I think we already, yeah. Then there's fpq.call method dot apply. Right, so let's say I run the code here. So it's not showing anything, so I'll just add it from here. pq dot call method dot apply, and just see the permissions. True, false, true, true, false, true, right? And finally we have fpq dot q dot push, for that false, false, true, right? fpq dot q dot push, only the execute part. So we have added the permissions for global variables. Now I think we'll need to give permissions for the script as well. Sorry. It's showing an error here. So I don't know why we were getting that error of it being not defined. I just created it all again, and now it's running. Let's say I run the code. Of course it will need the inject scripts permission. So if I run the code, we'll get the URL. Yeah, so we need to give permission to this as well, right? So now if we click on run code, yeah, I think it was giving us an error because I had not put a pixel ID here, and that's why. So now I've put a pixel ID, and that's why it's. So let's test that theory out if it's correct or not. So if I keep it empty, yeah. So this is why we were getting the error, because it there was no value, which means it was undefined. So you need to put a value, and then yeah. So now everything is done. Now we can test if it's actually working or not. So let's say I go to inspect, and there's this tool called Omnibug. So let's say I click on save, and then yeah, run code. Yeah, as you can see, the page view has showed up here, and if I were to change it now, lead run code, yeah, you can see that we are getting lead one as well. So the data is being sent to Facebook, which means our template is working. So this is how you can create a custom template from scratch. Now if you want to share it, you could go to export, and you can see a JSON file will be downloaded. Of course you can't open it like this, but it's a template file. So what you need to do, you need to go to import, and then import the file, and it would automatically import these settings and the code and everything, and that's how you could share the custom template that you've created. So yeah, this is pretty much all for the video. We have created our own custom template. Yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, you could even you could even view changes, copy, delete, and other options. Show test page, right? And I have saved it. So yeah, search gallery. Oh, sorry, if I go to tags now, yeah, you can see that under custom we are getting the tag template that we had created, right? So you can see the UI. I should have named this more setting instead of advanced settings, because now we have two. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But yeah, this is how you can create your own custom template in Google Tag Manager, right? Thank you for watching.